Okay, cool. Hello, all of you wonderful people. It's so lovely to see so many of you guys here, ready to have a cheeky little breath session that we're going to be doing today. For those that don't know, my name is Brandon, general manager of the Freediving family, uh, organizer and lead fun haver at Deep Weeks and all of our reunions here at the Freediving family. I'm also probably the one of the biggest fans of static breath hold training you will meet in this world. Um, I absolutely love it. I have a 7.5 minute breath hold. Right. 7.5 minute breath
Thank you.
hold, and
I could tap it.
I have about what is it now? 7 years of breath training experience. Um, so today I'm going to be sharing basically the kind of session that um, I love in terms of training, and also in terms of I would say just being a really fantastic way to discover a love of breath hold training. Show of hands here. How many people train breath hold regularly? Like train static breath hold, whether it's dry or it's in the pool? Maybe. So a few kind ofs and um, not many others. Well, we got a few. Okay, great, awesome. Um, how many people really love the breath training that they do? Show of hands. Okay, so we've got some yeahs, but we've also got some like "Ooh, I don't know." Um, yeah, got some mess in the chat. Cool. And for this sort of like size of group, I would say that that's pretty common. There are there'll maybe be like a handful of people that are like, hell yeah, I love training static. And then the rest of people are like either or they're like, no, I'm not a fan. Um, and Personally, I believe that this is because of the way that we are introduced to static training through our freediving courses. Um, Clara, wait, who is that in front of you? I just need to know. Whenever I see a cat or a dog on video, I kind of lose my mind. So we
I'm
have to know
sorry.
who we have.
He's Choco. My
Choco.
cat.
Oh, so cute. Okay, well, I hope she. I hope your cat enjoys the session. Cool. Yeah, so I believe that why so many people don't enjoy training static is because of how you're introduced to it. And it's through jumping into a level one freediving course where you're there to learn how to dive and get down and see coral and explore underwater animals and all this kind of stuff and shipwrecks. But in order to pass this course that you have paid money for and you're going to get a certificate out of, there's now this money associated with this piece of paper that I'm going to give you if you pass. And part of that is holding your breath for a minute and a half in most cases. And when you first begin holding your breath, most people get to 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and they think they're going to absolutely explode. Um, but in order to get the certificate, you have to hold your breath for a minute and a half or longer in some cases. And by pushing through a place where you are not comfortable and you are not ready to be, you sort of develop a negative association with breath hold. But you do your wave one and you get into wave two or level two, and it's the same thing. You really enjoyed the diving, you really enjoyed the underwater world, all of that sort of stuff. But now the metric to pass is 2.5 minutes, which is a minute longer than the last one, and you probably haven't done any training since then. And so just by going from 1.5 minutes to 2.5 minutes, you're even further jumping out of your comfort zone with breath hold and where you're ready for. And as such, that continues to associate breath hold with a negative connotation. Additionally, with how many people speak about static, contractions are horrible. I hate the feelings of contractions and urge to breathe. There are some circles that call breath hold training tables torture tables. Um, like the way that we speak about it is very important and very much tells us how, from someone who's sort of new in the community, we're going to do a torture table. Well, it says it in the name. You're going to have a shitty time, but you have to do it. But you don't, obviously. Um, so so what we're going to do today is not a torture table. It's not going to be some horrible session. What we're going to do is called a set departure table. Um, and how it's going to work is that we are going to do about 18 2-minute intervals. So, in an interval, in this case 2 minutes, you are going to hold your breath and recover during that same 2 minutes. And then every 2 minutes, we start a new breath hold. Yeah? So, we start our breath hold, and then for about a minute and a half, we hold our breath, and then we recover for 30 seconds, and that's a 2 minutes. So, then we start another breath hold, and then again hold for a minute and a half, and then we recover for 30 seconds, and then it's another 2-minute interval. We begin our breath hold again. So every 2 minutes, we start a new breath hold. Now, the rules with this are that we want to try and hold our breath for as long as we can, um, without having big swings in time between each breath hold. So we want to have a consistent minute and a half, minute and a half, minute and a half. We don't want to do a minute 55 with 5 seconds of recovery. And then that wasn't enough recovery time. And so the next breath hold is only a minute because you can't handle, you didn't recover enough for in that 2-minute interval before. Does that make sense? So we want to have a consistent minute and a half or a minute 45, or a minute 15. Whatever it is up to you to decide, because the second metric that we are following is going to be enjoying yourself. We never want to get to a place where we are hating these breath holds. We are going to be, by doing these breath holds, changing the way that we associate our mind associates breath holding with the sensations that we experience. Um, and throughout this breath hold session, I'm going to basically lead us through some mental techniques to try and um, gain some awareness of these sensations. Because with so much of our breath hold training, with CO2 tables and O2 tables and whatever their other like torture tables are out there and all of that, you're you're encouraged to not actually listen to your body. With a CO2 or O2 table, you are required to do the table correctly to either hold your breath for a certain amount of time every single time or maintain a recovery interval the same amount of time. So it's either always 30 seconds of recovery across the entire session, or the breath hold time gets longer and longer and longer, but the recovery time stays the same. So, because of that, you're not actually listening to what your body's telling you because what your body's telling you doesn't matter. What matters is that you get to that time that is arbitrarily set by this table. Whereas with this session today, we are going to be actively paying attention to what our body is telling us. We're going to be looking for, when contractions come up, we're going to try and dissect the sensations of when I have a contraction, do I feel tightness anywhere in the body as well? Do my contractions just start up, or do I have a feeling that comes before that first? We're going to work on dissecting these sensations because as we do that, as we name these feelings, as we gain awareness of them, we can begin to learn how to control them. We can also change the narrative on them. Um, for example, I have a sensation that I call the wiggly tinglies, which are when I am laying there and I'm holding my breath and I begin to feel tingling sensations in my fingers and my toes. And that used to be something that was very uncomfortable for me. But over time, over naming it and saying that it's a fun sort of like wiggly tingly name that makes it fun, and I'm reminded that physiologically what's happening is the body is moving oxygen away from, or moving blood from my fingertips to my core. That's part of the mammalian dive response. If you guys remember what that is, that's peripheral vasoconstriction. The heart rate slows down. The blood moves around the lungs to protect it from pressure. And also, in pressure, your spleen will eject oxygenated blood into the body for a little bit of extra breath hold time. But that sensation of wiggly tinglies, I now associate with being a good thing because that's my cue to tell me that my dive response has turned on. I can now hold my breath longer as a result of getting the wiggly tinglies, even though in the beginning that is an uncomfortable feeling that I did not like. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through lots of different breath holds, or we're going to go through 18 breath holds on a 2-minute interval, and we're going to work on these sensations. We're going to work on these mental gymnastics. And when we get towards the end, what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 comfort max breath holds. And those are basically just going to be breath holds that we're going to hold until we no longer feel comfortable. Um, that could be until you get your first contraction. That could be after having multiple contractions. That could be, after you get an urge to breathe or some other sensation. What's important is that you are paying attention to what feelings you are feeling, and when you go from being comfortable and enjoying yourself to no longer enjoying what you're doing. Does that all make sense? Sorry, that was a lot, and I just talked at you quite a bit. Okay, but it all makes sense. Great. Seeing nodding, I'm seeing thumbs ups, which is great. Cool. Okay. So then, in that case, we're going to now get ready for our breath hold session. You can either, my recommendation would be to do this lying down, either in bed or on a couch. If you are sitting in a chair, that is also okay. My suggestion would be to at least sit in a chair that you can fully lean back into, where you're not holding any tension in any of your muscles to like hold your head up or anything like that. That's just because you can then fully relax into the session that way. If you are driving, please do not partake in any of the breath holds that we are doing. That is incredibly dangerous. Ooh, did you guys hear that? Please don't drive and hold your breath. Great. Okay, good. Ooh, fireworks. Yay. Cool. All right. The one final thing I'm going to say is that we're going at the end of every breath hold, I need you guys to do 3 strong recovery breaths. Every single time, no matter how long or short you held your breath for, always hold or always recover, do at least 3 recovery breaths. A recovery breath is where after you are done holding your breath, you let about 10 to 15% of the air out of your lungs and then immediately suck it back in again. So full breath in. Yeah. So we always do at least 3 of those. And that is in order for us to keep the partial pressure of oxygen high in our body. Basically, it's going to help if we hold our breath for too long to reduce the potential risk of us having a blackout. Very important that we do that for every single breath hold. And also very important for us to practice this correctly every single time we do a breath hold. Again, we're doing 20 breath holds total today, and that's a lot of practice time. So if we're practicing something incorrectly, we'll develop some bad habits, which is then going to lead to us having bad habits when we're diving. So always do 3 strong recovery breaths. You should hear the sound coming out of your mouth, and it should sound like a T sound. Okay? Great. Cool. So you guys get ready. I'm going to give us 2 minutes to breathe normally. I'm going to start my stopwatch here. I'll have you guys turn yourselves on mute. If you're feeling comfortable to, I would ask that you turn your cameras on as well, just so that I can keep an eye on you. And in case I need to shout out your name. Jan asks, should you use a nose clip for this training? You should not use a nose clip. And you should never use a nose clip when you are alone, full stop. Just because if you do have a blackout, there have been some studies that have shown that if you don't have somebody with you, um, you can cause a laryngospasm where basically your jaw will snap shut and your tongue will clamp up, and you won't actually be able to get air into your body because your nose is pinched. So please do not wear nose clips. Only wear a nose clip if you have a buddy who is safetying you. Great. Cool. All right, I'm going to give us 2 minutes to breathe normally to get to a place of tidal breathing. I'm also going to share some quiet relaxation music because who doesn't love a little bit of meditation relaxation music? And I'm also going to guide you guys through a little bit of a body scan just to start ourselves off to find some relaxation. So as we are sitting here now, I'd like for you to bring your awareness to your feet and your toes, where we're going to begin by scanning our feet for any tension or any tightness. And if we do find some, we can just imagine a ball of warm light hovering above us that is going to melt that tension away. And then move up over your ankles, up to your calves to relax and release. Then going to move up over our knees and relax our thighs. Scanning up and over our hips, we can relax our glutes, move to our stomach and our lower back. Begin in 1 minute. Up to our ribs, our diaphragm, our intercostals, relaxing all of those muscles fully and completely. Moving up to our chest, we can move down across our arms, over our biceps and triceps. Moving the awareness over our elbows and into our forearms. Finishing with our hands. In 30 seconds with a full breath. Move our awareness up to our neck, relaxing and releasing. 20 seconds. We can finish by relaxing our face, all the muscles around it. Take a deep breath in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big full breath in, starting first with the diaphragm, then moving up to the intercostals, and then relaxing. And as we do this session today, I'd like for us every single time we take our full breath in to, after we are done fully inhaling actively, I want to scan the muscles that we just used. So we're going to relax and release the diaphragm. We're going to let our tummy poke out a little bit. We'll relax the ribs. We'll let our shoulders come down a little bit. We'll check our neck. Scan the muscles around our face as well, and then we'll ease into the session. As I said, what we're going to do is we're just going to try and develop some mental programs that we can basically run every single time, almost in the background. As we practice them more and more, we won't have to think about them as much. That's been 1 minute, so 1 minute until our next breath hold begins. For these first few, we're just going to try and figure out what our sort of comfort level is for today. And for the first few breath holds, you can just kind of play around with it. You can just see which one feels good for you and make a plan. Begin our next breath hold in 30 seconds. Remembering nice strong recovery breaths. When you are done, 20 seconds. Very nice, seeing some good recovery breaths. We'll begin our next breath hold in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in. And then again, we're going to relax and release. We're going to scan those muscles. Once again, checking the diaphragm, intercostals, allowing the shoulders to drop down a little bit. And relax the jaw, release the throat. Feel our face gently droop down. And as we're sitting here, let's just try and find relaxation across the entire body. Whatever way that you usually do. Maybe that's with a body scan, maybe that's with a little visualization of a dive that you enjoy or a cool place that you've dived before on a coral reef or a shipwreck or something like that. That's been 1 minute already. 1 minute until our next breath hold begins. Again, we're just going to take these first few breath holds to ease into the session. We're not going to attach any sort of judgment of how the session's going to be onto these first few breath holds. We're just warming up the dive response, getting into the session, putting aside other stuff from the day. 30 seconds till we begin the next breath hold. Again, remembering nice strong recovery breaths as you're done. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. Getting ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in. Relaxing and releasing fully. Running through that little scan again. Very nice. Notice as we do this, each time it gets a little bit easier and a little bit easier to just ease into that recovery and relaxation. Very nice. Very nice. It's looking really good. It's been 1 minute. So what's going to happen during today's session is that we are going to build up a moderate but manageable level of CO2 in the body. The recovery times that we're trying to aim for give us enough recovery to sort of take the edge off of any sensations that we might be feeling, but we don't entirely purge all the CO2. And so our body is going to begin to adapt 30 seconds to the levels of CO2 that we are putting it under across this essentially 40-minute breath holding session. 20 seconds, which in turn means that we are going to experience a lot of CO2 and our body's going to adapt to it, which means we'll be better 10 seconds. We'll have an easier time adapting in the future. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in. Nice and full. Diaphragm first, then intercostals. So yes, we want to try and keep the levels of CO2 slightly elevated, but not to a point where, again, we are having a really challenging time and we hate how it feels. We want to experience sensations, but we don't want to hate the sensations that we're feeling. And so with that, I'd like for us on this breath hold, after we've gone through and we've scanned and we've relaxed everything, we're ready to go. I'd like for you to select one sensation that begins to sort of pop up for you as we hold our breath through this interval. Could be maybe a sensation of tingling in the fingertips. That's been 1 minute. Could be a feeling of tightness in the throat or a tension in the ribs. You might feel or realize that your shoulders are creeping up a little bit, and you can try and relax them. But just take some time to notice what you're feeling in your body. And feeling in terms of like, no reason to sort of attach yourself to that sensation, but just observe that sensation from the outside. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. You guys are doing really well. Very nice. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice, big, full, deep breath in. And then we relax, we release. Let go all those sensations, all that tightness. There's no reason to hold on to any of it. On this breath hold, once again, just try and notice the sensations that you feel, whether they might have a positive association or negative association. Just begin to look at what you feel as you are here holding your breath. We'll just give you some time to do that. And on the next one, we'll start to look at one a little bit more closely. It's been 1 minute. Really well. 30 seconds until our next breath hold begins. Twenty seconds. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in, diaphragm first, then moving to the intercostals. As we relax, we are scanning those muscles we just used to take that full final breath in. And then on this breath hold, as I said, we're going to select one of the sensations that we felt in the previous one. Whether that is tightness in the throat, that is tingling sensation, a feeling of needing to move or wiggle, or perhaps feeling hot or cold. Just select one of them, and as you do, begin to think of a name for it. If you can, think of something that's a little bit fun or a little bit interesting, something lighthearted. Would be fantastic and optimal. It's been 1 minute. And then as you have selected and isolated this sensation, you can explore this sensation that you're feeling. What does it feel like? Where does it sit in your body? Is it across the whole body? Is it isolated in one spot? 30 seconds until our next breath hold begins. If you've just joined us, we are doing a new breath hold every 2 minutes. So every 2 minutes you start a new breath hold. 20 seconds. Good catch, Simon. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in. Once again, running that program, relaxing and releasing, letting go of all tension, all tightness. And as you sit here now, having just run through that relaxation, I'd like for you to first enjoy the sensation of being full of oxygen, having just recovered, just holding your breath amongst friends and strangers and people you may know or may not know. Just joined in this community of freedivers, all holding our breath together. It's been 1 minute. And as you begin to feel that named sensation come up again, I'd like for you to once again just observe it and get acquainted with it. And allow any other sensations to sort of be put off to the side for now. And you're just focusing on this one in front of you right now. Perhaps even visualizing and seeing yourself turning the sensation over in your hands. 30 seconds. Imagine it becoming some sort of object even that you can hold. 20 seconds. Ten seconds. Deep breath in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in. Nice and full, and then we relax, we release, we let go. We once again enjoy this feeling of fullness, of comfort. Just sit here and wait for sensations. This one, as the sensation begins to build, I'd like for you to see if you can hold the sensation's intensity down just a little bit, just for a second even. That's been 1 minute. Perhaps you do this just by having a little conversation with yourself and saying, okay, I understand that you want to have this sensation. We can have this sensation, but let's just hold it down with the intensity just for 1 second, or half a second even. Just take a little baby step towards beginning to gain awareness and control of that sensation. 30 seconds. Reminding ourselves that anything that we're feeling is coming from a buildup of CO2. 20 seconds. And as such, anything that we're feeling is actually a good sign because we are doing what we are intending to do, which is raise CO2. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in. Relax, release, let go. Enjoy the sensation of fullness. And then once again, as you begin to feel the sensation come up again, play with the intensity of it and play with the control of it as the intensity is already quite low. It's quite challenging to do this once you're in the throes of big contractions or you've got a really hot sensation coming over you. We wouldn't learn how to drive a car by putting you in the driver's seat on the freeway. We would put you in a parking lot, and you just focus on pressing on the gas and the brake. And that's what we're doing here. It's been 1 minute. 1 minute until our next breath hold begins. Take some time to play with that sensation. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. Starting our next breath hold in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in. Relaxing, releasing, letting go. As we're sitting here and as we're getting comfortable with the sensation, we're playing around with it and dipping our toe into the sensation little by little. It's been 1 minute. On this next one, I'm going to go through a few different types of guided mindfulness techniques that we can try and use to maybe turn down the intensity of the sensation a little bit, or distract ourselves, or gain more clarity around what the sensation is. And for the next breath hold, just follow along with my instructions. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. Getting ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in. We're once again going to relax and release, let go. As we do, I'd like for you to find yourself either laying or sitting or floating on the water, either face up looking at the sun on a beautiful day with white clouds floating above you, or perhaps looking down in the water, noticing a beautiful coral reef underneath you. When you're ready, you can either turn and face into the water, or you can begin a duck dive now. Diving down. As you do, you feel the warm water move across your face. That's been 1 minute. As you move through the water down towards this coral reef, you can find yourself comfortably swimming amongst all of this beautiful life in this alien world. One that so many people never get to ever experience in the way that we do. Just noticing how beautiful it is, 30 seconds to have an opportunity like this to engage in the underwater world in the way that we are able to. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. Getting ready for our next breath hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in. We relax. We release. We let go. Just take some time to once again enjoy the sensation of being totally full. And then as we do, I'd like for you to find yourself now standing on a path leading into a beautiful, green, dense forest. As you begin to walk and feel the soft ground beneath your feet, you can smell the earth, you can smell the smell of trees around you. It's been 1 minute. You can hear the sound of the leaves rustling above you. Feel your footsteps, perhaps here and there, crackling little sticks or rustling leaves beneath you. And as you look around, just notice how wide and big and beautiful this forest is. 30 seconds. Dense and old and unique. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. Getting ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in. Fully and completely. Getting back to that point of relaxation once again. This breath hold, I'd like to remind you guys a little bit about our body and how our body uses CO2. There's something called the Bohr effect, which is basically the blood's affinity for holding onto and releasing oxygen molecules. And the higher the acidity is in the blood, the more likely the oxygen molecules are to release those oxygen, or to be released from the red blood cells. It's been 1 minute. And why that's important is because CO2 has an acidifying effect on the blood. It's very, very, very slight, but it does happen. And as a result, the higher the CO2 in the blood and in the body, the more availability the oxygen actually is for us to use. This is why there are some divers that will hypoventilate. They will intentionally, 30 seconds, they will intentionally underbreathe, meaning they build up more CO2 and they start their dive with more CO2. This in turn means they have 20 seconds. They have more oxygen overall available to use so they can hold their breath for longer. So the CO2 that you're feeling, 10 seconds, actually makes it so that you're more able to hold your breath the longer you go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in. We relax, we release, we let go. Something else to remember is that our contractions, when we experience them, are not as a result of having low oxygen. Contractions come from a buildup of CO2. We don't really have receptors that can tell exactly how much oxygen we have in our body, but we do have receptors that read how much CO2 we have. And so when we get contractions, when we get the urge to breathe, all of these feelings, that is our body reading that our CO2 has elevated. And our body is very conservative when it comes to CO2. It's been 1 minute. You can sort of think of it like there's a guy sitting in a room and he has a button in front of him and he has a screen, and that screen only shows CO2 levels. And he knows that at a certain point he needs to hit that button, but he has no other feedback. He doesn't know what the body's doing. He doesn't know what's going on. He only sees that number. And so conservatively, since he doesn't know what's going on, he will hit that button as soon as that CO2 gets at a certain level, 30 seconds. And it's our job to sort of tell this person in this room that 20 seconds, CO2 is okay. We are in charge, we are in control, we are doing something that we love, and the sensations and things, the alarms that he's putting up, 10 seconds, are not actually necessary. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in. Then we relax, we release, we let go once again. Doing really well. On this breath hold, I'd like for us to, as we feel the sensation that we named, I'd like for you to tell that little version of you in that room that's slamming that CO2 alarm bell, that we can hold on for another second. You know, the person in that room can, 1 minute, absolutely slam that button, but let's just wait for 1 second. You know, I'm there, I'm fully in control, I promise it's going to be okay. Let's just wait for 1 second. Just see if you can do that, if you can have that conversation with yourself, or if you can sort of gain a little bit of control. 30 seconds. Doing really well. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in. And then we relax, we release, we let go. We're going to do 2 more 2-minute intervals. And then we're going to do a full recovery, and we'll do a comfort max, and then another full recovery and another comfort max. So for these last 2, if you want to play around with extending the breath hold time a little bit, that's entirely up to you. If you are happy and you are enjoying where you are at, that is also totally fine. Just maintain how you've been going. So again, we'll finish this breath hold, we'll do 1 more after this one, and then we'll all recover. We'll have about 3 minutes of recovery time, and then we'll jump into our first comfort max. That's been 1 minute. On these last 2 breath holds, just play around with the techniques that we've used, or perhaps other techniques that you find that you like a bit more in terms of relaxation, in terms of maintaining control of sensations, and just see how it goes. And intentionally focusing on that one named sensation. know there are probably other sensations that you're feeling as well, but just focus on the one for now. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. Starting our last 2-minute interval in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in. Diaphragm first, then intercostals next. On this one, if you'd like, you can hold all the way to the 2-minute mark if things are feeling good. And if not, just recover whenever you're ready. Again, comfort being the most important thing. Making sure that you're having a good time doing these breath holds. That's been 1 minute. Seconds. 20 seconds. If you're still holding your breath, everyone recovering in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice strong recovery breaths. You're still holding your breath. And if you're not, just maintain your relaxation, trying not to move. Just sort of keep this relaxation going from this position that we've had. Very nicely done. I'm now going to give us 3 minutes of relaxation. We are not going to do any breath manipulation. We're not going to do any triangular breathing or square breathing or doubling the amount of time out as we breathe in. We're just going to let our mind zone out and not think about our breath and focus on something else. And in doing that, our tidal breathing will kick in and we will have the exact amount of CO2 that our body wants in order to be happy. Start our first comfort max in 1 minute and 30 seconds. Again, this breath hold is going to be as long as you feel comfortable. Basically as long as you feel comfortable. As long as you are feeling comfortable, you can hold your breath. That could mean that you are comfortable with contractions or urge to breathe. It could mean that you're not. And if you're not, then just recover whenever you're done. 1 minute until we begin. The important thing is that you are paying attention to what you are feeling. And when you do finish, you are aware of what that sensation was and why you stopped. Because as you figure that out, that then becomes something that you are able to work on in your training moving forward. Okay, 30 seconds. And then we begin. 20 seconds. And on these breath holds, I'll tell you guys the time every 1 minute for the first 2 minutes, and then every 30 seconds after that. Just since we're all going to be all over the place. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in. And then we relax, we release, we let go. And for these breath holds, I'm not going to give you guys any prompts. You guys can use the prompts that we did in the session already, but I'm not going to guide you. I'm just going to let you guys be your own guides. Enjoy your sessions, enjoy your breath holds, and just feel what you feel. It's been 1 minute. 1 minute already. If and when you finish, just do your recovery breaths and then enter back into tidal breathing, as we'll do another breath hold after this one. That's 2 minutes now. Just enjoy yourself. Have fun. That's 2:30. That's 3 minutes. If you have your video on, just give me an okay sign when you finish, just so I can keep an eye on where people are at. That's 3:30. still holding their breath, look at me to 430. And we can do one more breath hold here. Everybody recovering in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice strong recovery breaths. So I'll give us 3 more minutes. It is at the top of the hour now, so if you do have other things to do, just so you know, we've been holding our breath for about 40 minutes now. If you're okay with sticking around for a little while longer, we'll do another 3 minutes of recovery, and then we'll do one more full comfort max, and then we'll have a little chat for anyone who's still left. Just maintaining our comfiness, trying not to move as much as possible. Movement can turn off the dive response, especially peripheral vasoconstriction. The more we move around our fingers and toes and wiggle around, that's only 1 minute, the more we sort of allow blood flow to move back to those areas. That's also why your body, you might feel like you need to stretch or wiggle or move. That's another CO2 buildup thing. Our body, one of the responses that it has is that it reads that CO2 is too high, and as such it wants us to get out of whatever situation that we're in. 1:30 until we begin. And so, because it can't directly tell us, hey, get out of wherever you are, it instead has to make us feel things. And so that's why it makes us feel like we need to stretch, or we need to, wiggle our hands around, or we need to do one of these. It's CO2. It's CO2 buildup. And as such, we can do that and move, but it's only going to reduce our ability to actually hold our breath. 1 minute until we begin. So, if you can, try and not move when you feel those sensations, because the movement just uses up more oxygen. Isn't physiology fun? 30 seconds. 20 seconds. Nice deep breath in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big deep breath in, full and complete. Once again, running through that program that we've begun working on, relaxing the diaphragm, the intercostals, chest, shoulders, back, neck, face. Just letting all of it go. It's been 1 minute. then 2 minutes in. That's 2:30. And that's 3 minutes now. Again, as before, just show me an okay sign when you're done. You have your video on. I can keep track of it. Very nice, very nice. The okay signs are rolling in. That's 3:30. And that's 4 minutes. Very nice. And if you're still going, we'll all recover in 20 seconds. Looks like Craig is still going. Recovering in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice strong recovery breaths. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Very nice. Okay. Cool. Alrighty. Let me quickly turn down this music. We can have a little chat about the session and get some thoughts, get some feedback. Oh, okay, I guess we'll just turn the whole thing off. Cool. Okay. How are we feeling? I've moved. I came inside and I plugged my computer in. It was gonna die. How are we feeling? Show of hands, good session? Good feelings, good vibes? Enjoyed yourselves? Great, good. Awesome. Love to see it. Oh yeah, so many raised hands. Cool. Um, awesome. How many people was that their first interval table? Like usually you do CO2 or O2 tables, but this was the first set departure table that you've done. Okay, great. Okay, some no's, but some yeses. Okay, cool. How was it? Was there any sort of like difference that you could tell in terms of sensations or, did it feel better or worse or how were Ooh, Tatum just went from a PB of 3:15 to 4 minutes. Hell yeah. Congratulations. Boring Rainier. You want to say more about that? Like what about it was boring? Oop, yeah, you're muted.
Yeah, here you go. Yeah, I mean it takes really a long, long time, and really I cannot kind of relax. So I only think when it's over, oh it's so boring, oh it's so boring, you know.
Mm. Okay, interesting.
I like the classical
So,
CO2 tables more actually.
mm, so I would push back on that a little bit in that Part of the challenge of doing these types of sessions is that you do have to sit with your own internal feelings. And that is challenging because there's nothing to distract us with. There's nothing in terms of like ignoring what our body's telling us and looking at it, looking towards a time, or no like dive to look forward to, or like look on a line or focus on our technique or whatever. We are only sitting here with the thoughts in our head and the sensations that we're feeling, and as such, because I started out the exact same way. I thought these sessions were boring as hell, and I had nothing to do, nothing to think about. And then once I realized that that was in a way almost another way my CO2 was manifesting of like, well, if I can get if I can get Brandon to think that this is boring, maybe he'll go do something else, and this number that I'm looking at on this screen will stop going up. Um, so once I started looking at these sessions as like really mental training, like I'm not like, for me, the focus of these sessions is mental, not physical. Like the physical adaptations that come are good, are great, and that's obviously something that I want and need. But really, the mental side of things is where the real training is happening, and the focus can be. And that focus can be on dissecting every single piece of a breath hold down to, okay, can I get a little bit more out of my full breath in on this? Can I find a little bit more relaxation in the neck? Or am I holding tension in my cheeks? Or am I slightly holding tension in my fingertips or in my shoulders? The more you can break this down into smaller and smaller chunks, you can begin to master yourself not only in breath hold but in just like day-to-day life. I've sort of found. Um, but in the beginning, Rainier, I totally agree. It was boring as hell when I first started. And yeah, coming from a position of, it's a long session, and I've got other shit to do. It in the beginning felt like kind of a waste of time. But then in 6 months, I went from a 2 minute breath hold up to a 5.5 breath hold, just by doing sessions like this, with some other stuff thrown in, of course. But um, this kind of training really, the mental focus is where so much progress can be made, especially in the beginning. Because if you guys remember, a healthy human has 4 minutes of oxygen flying around their body pretty much at all times. If we were just to full breath in here and we didn't have CO2 warning signs, we could hold our breath, or an untrained human could hold their breath for 4 minutes before they would black out. But what stops us is CO2. And as such, the mental sort of side of things. So by mastering the mental side of things, we can get to that 4 minutes of physiological breath hold before we even start touching the oxygen capacity of our body and oxygen efficiency. So I get it though. In the beginning, it's boring, but as you play with it more and you begin to learn how to sort of play games, and turn it into a game, and that then and you can sort of get over that CO2 response of, oh, if I get them to think that it's boring, then they'll stop and they'll stop raising this number for me. Um, anyway, that's a long tangent, but I hear you. They can feel boring in the beginning. But we also just we did 40 minutes of breath hold training just now, which is, what I would imagine most people don't usually do because CO2 tables are challenging or they suck or you just don't want to do it. Yeah, Ben.
Oh, so sorry, I was muted.
No worries, all good.
Uh, yeah, first off, thank you so much for the session. It was awesome.
Oh, you're
And
welcome.
I agree with a lot of what you said. I don't personally find it boring. I've really over the past year and a half really appreciated the mental aspect. That's why I do it.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
it's taught me a lot about myself, and it's brought me a lot of peace. Like you discover a lot doing it. Um,
yeah.
but like the hardest thing for me, especially like lately, has been um I guess the best way to say it is the progress isn't always linear. Like
Mm,
sometimes it feels like you're taking two steps forward and one step back.
totally.
Um, so I find myself right now kind of in a rut mentally.
Mm,
Um, whereas before, I've had times where it's easier and it's just it's hard when you've made progress and you feel like you own it and then it goes away,
mm,
like you've lost something.
totally.
Um, yeah, so like how do you navigate that? Because I'm sure you've had ups and downs in your journey.
Totally. 100%. Yeah, I think, there's a difference between um, you know, uh should the word should isn't really helpful, right? Like I should be able to do this or I should be able to do that.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
to an extent, it doesn't really matter what you should be able to do because you're going to do what you can on the day. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, maybe you used to do maybe you used to have a 7 minute breath hold, but
Right.
you are you have other things going on in life. Work
Hmm.
is stressful, or you've got this thing going on, or relationship stuff, or so and so, and blah 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 blah. Like, it'd be one thing if we turned on and were a breath holding machine, and then we turned off and we went into sleep mode. Like, then
Hmm.
we could
Yeah.
talk about, okay, something is wrong if I can't do this thing. But we
Right.
are human beings, for better or for worse. And
Hmm.
we've got life happening in addition to breath holding. And so why I love these kinds of sessions so much is that it allows you to do the best that you can on the day when you show up. Um,
Hmm.
whatever your breath hold times were today, on a maybe today was a normal middle of the road day for you, and on some days you might have a better day, so you could hold your breath for a little bit longer. Other
Hmm.
days you might be feeling worse, and so you hold your breath for a little bit less. The important thing is that you maintain a training schedule for overall general progress,
Hmm.
and you are doing the best that you can every single day. And again, from coming from this coming at this from a mental side of things, there's always something to be gained from just starting a session and doing your best. You might
Hmm.
realize that the last 3 times you did a breath hold session, maybe you're holding tension somewhere in your body, or maybe you were letting your mind sort of wander with something, and that had an impact on your breath holds. Or
Hmm.
maybe you heard this new mental technique that you wanted to try, or a new visualization, or whatever. Um, so really, I would say the most important thing is to give yourself the grace to know that you are a human being and that
Hmm.
you will have days that are better or worse, and we all hit walls and plateaus as well. Um, and so my question would
Hmm.
then be to you to think about is, on today's session with the comfort maxes, what sensations, what things were going on in your head when you stopped? And those could be a place to now begin to focus your training as you move forward.
Yep.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, Keith with a question on first contractions.
Hey man, thanks.
Hey,
That was great. That was really enjoyable.
cool, awesome. Glad you
Um,
liked it.
so yeah, I train pretty frequently, and I noticed that my first contraction time doesn't really push out so much. I tried doing a few different types of things, and I think what we did here, could be really helpful, even
Mm.
just from the volume point of view. But I wanted to ask you your opinion on what do you think might be the main ways of progressing something like that. Like I have for reference, like a 420 breath hold. First
Mm.
contractions could come in at like a minute, it could
Mm.
be a minute 30 maybe on a good day.
Mm. Yeah. So so my first question would be to for you to figure out if your contractions are coming on because they are real contractions or they are phantom contractions. Phantom contractions are what I basically call contractions that we sort of will into existence by thinking ourselves in mental spirals of, oh, has it been a minute already? Oh, I usually get my first contraction at a minute, and then the time reads out it's a minute, and then oh, yep, there's that first contraction. So the first thing to do, I would say, is to figure out if your contractions are real CO2 based contractions or if they are time associated contractions. And you can do that by doing breath holds where you basically just start a timer and then you hold until your first contraction and then you hit the button. Um, and doing a session where you sort of do that. In the online community that we run, where we do sessions like this twice a week, we will go through sessions where we'll do first contraction tables, where you hold your breath until your first contraction and then you recover. And the goal is during those sessions to play around with holding off that first contraction. Um, Whether it is through physical techniques like a tongue block or whether they are mental techniques. Okay, Jerome, who's that? I need to see the cat. What's the cat's name? Oh, wait, we can't hear you. Ah, poo. That's okay. It's a cute cat. 10 out of 10. Okay. Yeah, so we do sessions like that where we basically work on again the mental side of things of extending contractions through just mental relaxation. Yes, Rainier, see you at Deep Spot. It'll be a good time. Um, for mental relaxation and mental techniques, and then also the same session that we did today, the 20 times 2, as we over time we are exposing ourselves to high levels of or moderate levels of CO2 across a prolonged period of time. Um, and in the beginning, it's better to have a moderate level of CO2, and our body adapts to that more readily than spiking CO2 up and down, up and down, up and down. So a moderate level across a long time will result in our body becoming more adapted to it, and so physiologically as well, our body will not respond to CO2 as quickly. So mentally, using mental techniques and mental practice, like we did with the 20 times 2 today, that will really help. And then also, again, secondarily, as a result of that, elevated levels of CO2, our body will adapt to that, and then will also push out the first contraction time with CO2 longer and longer and longer.
Cool. Thanks, man. That makes sense. I think because I had been doing the first contraction tables and they tend to come in roughly around that same time, I think it might be the other thing that you mentioned, maybe just kind of aiming for contractions too hard and seeing that as,
Mm.
what I'm doing, what I should be doing in the breath hold training. Like, let's accumulate as much contractions and CO2 as I can, and maybe I just need to ease back off that a little bit. So that's kind of fun.
Could be, yeah. I mean, and again, there's so much work to do. Like, if you're aware of the concept of periodization, which I imagine since you're sitting at a fitness place,
Yeah.
you probably know about periodization. From a periodization perspective, doing 3 month cycles of a high volume, low intensity session like the one that we did today, switching to medium volume, medium intensity for more low oxygen work, and then going to high intensity where we sort of put all of the stuff together with mental techniques into longer breath holds. Doing 3 month cycles. I always come back to these types of tables in the beginning because there's always so much to gain from the mental side of training. Um, which again, if you guys do, and I will say I'm going to extend a coupon code to everyone that has joined to join our online community that meets twice per week, and we go through 3 month cycles of periodization training dry, where we basically go through like we did here. We begin by working on mental techniques and relaxation and CO2. We move to longer breath holds, but less of them, where we were focusing more on low oxygen and hypoxia, shifting to high intensity, low volume, and do some testing, and then repeat the whole process. If you guys want to join that online community, the link is in the email that we sent out, and you can use the coupon code DRYJULY. All one word shoved together, Dry July. That'll get you, I think it's 3 AUD off of your monthly subscription. And it's just a fun community that we run. Karina's in it. Craig, who did the 4.5 minute breath hold, is also in it. Let's see, is anybody else here in it at the moment? Difficult to say. Steve, we meet on Mondays at let's see. I think we meet on Mondays at 3 p.m. Sydney time, and then we meet on Thursdays. So tomorrow we'll meet at 3 p.m. South Africa time. The times are on the website, which is again also in that email. Also, no pressure if you guys don't want to. I just wanted to sort of put this out there as a part of the Dry July thing that we're doing, because I will never not talk about static if people are here to listen. So I thought it was a good opportunity. Let's see. Any other thoughts on today's session? Any sort of thoughts on feeling good, feeling not good, on dissecting that sensation that we were trying to focus on? Anything like that? Going once?
I'm going to have a comment,
Yeah.
which is just kind of in general, which is, well, so the comment for you and maybe a question is, when you told us about the CO2 is part of the reactions, the first time I did my Comfort Max, well, in general, I'm very fidgety. And so the second time I tried to be less fidgety, and I just told myself that. So just being conscious of that was helpful.
Yeah.
The question for you is that 40 minutes seems like a lot of time to try to have focus. And so a lot of times for like these 40 minutes, I would just like listen to music and not try to think too much. And so, but it sounds like you've gotten to the point where you're actually able to do different techniques and try to kind of be present in that way instead of trying to zone out with music. Is that an accurate representation of what you've gotten to?
To an extent, I would say yes. I mean, so I've broken down my breath hold into very small little chunks. Like it's, usually in the beginning when you start a breath hold or you start your breath hold training, you have your full breath in, you hold your breath, you get your first contraction, and then you end it. Whereas over time and repetition, I've gotten to a point of those sort of like traditional chunks are now broken up into smaller and smaller and smaller pieces. So my breath hold now begins beforehand in tidal breathing and letting my mind sort of wander and scanning my body for tension or tightness. I then very intentionally breathe only into the diaphragm, then only into the intercostals, and I feel myself blowing up like a big old balloon fully and completely, and then I feel a wave of relaxation wash over me. And that relaxation then melts all the tension away out of my body, like we did in the repeated sort of starts to the session. From there, I let my mind wander. And so I'll let my mind sort of go wherever it wants to, think about whatever it wants to. And then if I'm having a day where I'm struggling, then I have different techniques that I will use. So traditionally, for me, I've used visualization in that sort of chunk of time if I can't let my mind wander, where I walk the security route that I used to do for my performing arts center days, where I would walk around with a big set of keys on my hips and I would go and rattle doors and turn off lights and all that sort of stuff. And I would walk through this massive building and putting myself in that sort of space again of smelling the hallways and feeling the cold metal on my hand as I rattle the door frame, or feeling snow under my feet as I go outside. And then from there, breaking it into smaller chunks of, I begin to feel my first contraction coming on, and so I try and bring awareness to the other sensations that come before it and hold on to those sensations, and then have that first contraction. It's a big first contraction, and then I let myself, or I have the contractions get smaller and smaller by turning down a dial in my head, and so on and so forth. And so I've broken up my breath hold into very practiced smaller chunks. Thank you, Karina. I appreciate you putting those times in there in one central time zone. That is very helpful. For me, I'm all over the place, all over the world all the time, and so it's hard for me to sort of remember what the time zones are. But yeah, so Steve, with your question, like it's taken time, obviously, but I've over, years worked on all of these different chunks and refined them and tweaked them and learned how to use all these different tools and a visualization and attention deconcentration and blah blah blah, blah, like all those things. And that in its own way has become quite fun for me.
Okay.
And in its own way keeps me preoccupied. Especially going into competitions where, you know, like 7.5 minutes is a long time to just lay face down in the water. And you have to you can't like do anything other than hold your breath. And if you do move around, you're using oxygen and you're wasting your potential. So it basically comes down to how do you manage your own insanity. It's essentially. And that's maybe a bit dramatic, but I very much enjoy like sort of letting my mind wander and playing within my mind, because it's me. That's my own space, and it's full of possibility and joy, and also frustration and negative things that can also impact my breath hold. And so that's when having different tools in place, that you have practiced with, again, in these types of long sessions, means that you have a better opportunity of just having a good session and having tools available for you when you might not be having your best day. Yeah, Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I want to add to yours real quick.
Please.
I yeah, one thing that helps me a lot with navigating that mental space is journaling. I do that so often because you notice thoughts or feelings and you want to sort through them. But yeah, that was it. But like the last, I guess, little thing is for me, the biggest thing is learning self-acceptance and giving myself that grace, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess moreover, learning to love myself. It sounds silly, but
Not at
that's what
all.
I've found through. Yeah, that's what I found through my journey, and it's hard sometimes, like what I said earlier. But you helped reminding me. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Oh, awesome. So lovely to hear, Ben. Yeah, I totally agree. Journaling, I think, is super important, not only because it does help you keep your thoughts, so like sort of put your thoughts together, but from a training perspective, it's very important for you to be able to track your progress. Um, and as most of us know, like one data point should not make us feel like we have fully succeeded or fully failed. Like what's important is we look for trends. And so when I do my training, I not only keep quantitative or qualitative data of like, these are my thoughts, I'm feeling this, this, and this, but also on a scale of 1 to 10, I feel happy, I feel loved, I feel supported, I feel rested. All of those things I keep track of. Then I do my breath hold session, and at the end of the session, I look on a scale of 1 to 10. Contractions felt good, urge to breathe felt good. I enjoyed the session. I finished the session knowing I had just a little bit more in the tank. Um, all of those data points over time help you create averages for yourself, so you know when you are off of your sort of like norm, and you're also able to sort of see trends. And so if you are trending towards negative or like lower numbers, generally that means that you could be running towards burnout in your training. um, but yeah, I mean, I agree, the keeping a journal and keeping track of your data points is super important, and it is very helpful in assessing the training that you're doing. Because obviously we want to be doing training that is getting us in the right direction. And if we're not, then what's the point? Cool. Any final thoughts from anybody? Yeah, Maddie. Hi, Maddie. Good to see you.
Brandon! Hi!
Yay.
It's just
Hi,
a
I
quick
miss
one.
you.
I miss you too.
Oh.
I find I can never get my heart rate to chill out. It could be just a me problem, but like I even looked at the end of the session and I was at like 70s the whole time, and my resting is like 50. Like, do you have? I found when you were talking, I felt like I could chill out more, but as soon as it's just me, I'm like, I need something to take me away.
Yeah. So with that, remember that our body, as we take a full breath in, that activates our sympathetic nervous system. So that activates our fight or flight response. Our body, our heart rate increases. Our adrenaline sort of increases. We are more prepared for activity. And then as we exhale, we can sort of that activates the parasympathetic nervous system, and so the heart rate will slow down. And you can sort of play around with this, and that's why lots of people talk about triangular breathing, or breathing where you breathe in for 3 seconds and you exhale for 6 seconds, or breathe in for 5 seconds and exhale for 10 seconds. You're trying to sort of play, trying to activate the parasympathetic system more than activating the sympathetic one. That said, also when we take a full breath in, our heart gets squeezed between our lungs, right? Our lungs push against our ribs, and it has nowhere else to go but also squeeze around the heart. And in doing that, that will increase our blood pressure and kind of throws everything out of whack within our body. And all that sort of combined will increase our heart rate. And that obviously we then sit with that in the first like 30 seconds to a minute of a breath hold, and it feels like forever, and it feels like we can never control our heart. Over time, with repetition and practice, you can start to slow your heart rate down. The more we practice and train the mammalian dive response, again, bradycardia, slowing of the heart rate, is another one of the parts of the MDR. And so by training, we can get to a point where we can get that bradycardia to come on faster. But it's very normal, Maddie, and it's not a you thing. Although, I mean, I know who you are, and I know you do kind of run hot anyway. But it's a normal thing to happen. And just with time and with practice, and just, again, even playing mentally with, okay, I feel my heart rate going up, and I'm just going to just ever so gently turn the heart rate down. Maybe I can't even feel it. It's turned down that little, but just a little bit, I'm going to turn it down. And over time, mentally, you can begin to gain some control of your heart rate.
Yeah.
Which is a good time.
Okay. We'll see. Well, thank you. Gives me something to work with.
It was lovely seeing you.
Nice to see you too!
Yay. Anybody else have any questions or any thoughts?
Yeah, just one remark. Like we were going around the subject, I think, which helped me a lot when, I don't know, maybe you said it, maybe Adam said it at some deep week, that relaxation is a skill. And that's what's really stuck with me, that I can improve it just as like anything else. By the way, I think I want to try that community session, so I will reach out. And
Sounds
anyway,
good.
if after the session you still are online or whatever, I will write you or something. I just want to talk with you for a minute or something like that.
Perfect. Sounds good. Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries. All good. Yeah, again, for anybody who would want to join the online community sessions that we run, Karina just posted the dates or the times in the chat. It's Mondays and Thursdays. Mondays it's 8 a.m. UCT +2, and Thursdays it is 2 p.m. And then yeah, you can use code Dry July to get 3 AUD off of your monthly thing. It's like 20 AUD per month. It's like 2 coffees per month or something to do it, if you're keen. Any other final thoughts? Okay, great. Well, thanks guys. This was lovely. I had such a good time. I might run one more of these for free at the end of the month. So if you guys are doing some breath training on your own and you want to meet up at the end of the month and do this same session again to see your progress, we can do that. We'll probably do it the last week of July and see how we do. And we'll again we'll send an email out and all of that. Yeah, and I will post the link. I'll probably send this out in an email to our mailing list so you guys can take a look at it. Cool. Thanks, guys. You're all wonderful and amazing. Have a great rest of your day, and see you soon.
Thank you, Brandon. You're amazing too.
You're welcome. Oh, thanks, Karina. Okay, bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.